Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. I've been asked to kind of do this video a lot, and I want to kind of keep it simple so everyone can kind of follow it. What we're going to do today, it's going to be electrical finding fault. So if you've got something on your car that's not working, this is going to show you basically how to find it. I like to simplify things as much as I can because then I can compute it in my brain, because I'm not exactly clever up there. Anyway, we're going to work on a horn today. So we've got a horn that's not working. Now when you think about it, whether it's a horn, whether it's a radio, whether it's a window, whether it's your wipers, whether it's your lights, they're all more or less the same thing. There's only a few things it can be. It can be the thing you're working on, which happens to be in this case a horn. It can be the fuse, it can be the wire between the fuse, or it could be a relay, depending on what you really work on. That's all it can really be. Now if it's a window switch, it can be your window motor, it can be your window switch, it can be the wire between your window and your switch, it can be the fuse. So when you think about it that way, it's very, very simple. And I'm going to show you a few ways of testing to see basically what it could be. Now, obviously this does, when you're doing something like this, it does kind of help to have two people, because someone needs to press the horn. Depending on what you're working on, like if you're working on your lights, you need to turn your lights on first, because if you don't turn your lights on, you're not going to be able to test for power, because you need your lights to be on. So whatever you happen to be working on, it has to be switched on or pressed. And the way I've done this is, I'll show you the way I have the ignition switched on, and as you can see, I've got basically a metal bar pressed between the seat and actually pressing the horn. So now we know we've definitely got power, or we've got the horn pressed. We know we should have power coming to here. Now, I'm just going to have to disconnect the lead going to the horn. So we have the connection for the horn here. Now, I've got a couple of ways of testing it. I've got a voltage tester here, which you can see. When you turn it on, it gives you how much voltage is actually going to a particular wire. But what I also have is I've got a wireless tester. Now this doesn't give you the voltage, but this lights up at the end to tell you if you've got power. But the best thing about this one is there's no wires to it. I can just hold it. With this one, I have to put it to an earth. Now they both have the good uses, because this one doesn't give you how much voltage is coming to something. So in other words, if you need 12 volts for something to work, you could test this. This could light up, but it's only giving you 11 volts, because this works from 3 volts to 28 volts. So sometimes an actual reader where you can clearly see what voltage is coming through, might be better for you. But in this case, all I need is this wireless tester. Now, I'm going to test these wires. So when I put it to it, as you can see, nothing lights up. So we know we haven't got any power coming to this. So that means then that there's a good chance the horn is okay, but we know we haven't got any power. Now the only things that are left, you've either got the fuse, so the fuse could be blown, or the actual mechanism on the steering wheel that presses the horn could be broke, or the wires between the horn and where you press it, they could be broke. So that's all we've really got. Now if the wires are broke, that's kind of the hardest thing, because to try and find where the broken wire is a nightmare, and it's normally easy just to put a new wire in and basically rewire it. But what we're going to do first is we're going to check the fuses, and then if the fuses are okay, we'll check the actual mechanism behind the horn. Now the car is on the lift, and I can't really show you where the fuses are, so I'm just going to show you with this little card here. This little card is what came with the car even. And you can see all the different pits on it to, you've got the hazard warning lights, you've got lights up here, you've got indicators, you've got fans, you've got all sorts. So this will tell us which one we need. And as we can see, it's number 40, and it's got a picture of the horn. So we know we need to go to number 40, check the fuse to see if the fuse is blown. Kind of as simple as that, really. Now, so I've pulled the fuse out. I don't know if the camera's going to show this, but in the middle you can see it's all black and the fuse is gone. It's a 20 amp fuse that was in it, and when I get a new fuse, again, you can see the bit in the middle. You can see how that isn't blown. You can clearly see the thing in the middle. Now I'm going to put this fuse in and we're going to see. Now there's a chance, there's a couple of reasons. The fuse is gone, but that's not necessarily our problem. We could put the fuse in straight away, it could pop. Now if it pops straight away, you've got some sort of a wire earthing itself out somewhere. It could even be internally inside the horn or whatever you happen to be working on. So it all does depend. We're going to put this fuse in first and see what happens. If we put the fuse in and it doesn't blow, well that's a good sign. Then we're going to check our power coming to here. If we still haven't got power coming to there, then we're going to have to check the actual button on the steering wheel. And if we check that and everything is fine, well then it has to be a problem with the wire somewhere. Now let's hope it's not that, because if it's that, that is a nightmare and that can just take forever. Let's hope it's just a fuse. So let's see what happens now. Now, as you can see, we now have power coming to that. I don't know if you can see that light shining. So we'll get the other tester just to see the voltage. I'll try and show it. So it's saying, which I can't see because the sun's in the way, it's saying about 5.5 volts. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, and it should be, well, it should be 12 volts. But the car is turned off. The car is turned off. The ignition is on. I don't know why it's really showing that, but what I'm going to do now, I know there's power coming to it, which is a good thing, it's kind of the best thing. We're going to now plug the horn in to see if it works. Now, it does work, but it's not very loud, because it should be 12 volts going into this. So I'm just going to test the battery. Now the battery is only showing 3.5 volts. The ignition hasn't been on for that long, but we could maybe have a bad battery in this car. So I'm going to have to jump start the car and see, let the battery charge up and actually see if our horn's working. I'm also going to have to check the battery on the alternator. Right, I've just got it ticking over beside me because the battery is flat. I just quickly put the testers on. It does look like it's a bad battery more so than an alternator, but we won't get into that in this video. I've done videos on that. So I'm just going to press the horn now and fingers crossed it works. I've left it the same way. I've just plugged it back in. I haven't done anything else to it. I'm just going to test it now and let's hope it works. Yes, it works. Now, we was lucky with that one, just a blown fuse. Could have been a lot worse if we had a problem with the wire. A lot of cars do have problems with the actual horn that you press in behind the airbags, but again, lucky enough we didn't have that, just a blown fuse. It's the same way to do every kind of electrical problem. Just split it up into what you're working on. Don't worry about if you see loads of wires coming off. Just split it up to what you're doing. If you're doing an electric window, well, just look at the electric window motor, look at the switch, look at the fuse, look at the relay. Simple. You're doing something, say for your headlights, you look at the bulb, you look at the wires, you look at the fuse. You know, it's simple. Once you start taking something off, the first thing to do, if something isn't working, especially a horn, take the horn off, test for power. If you're getting no power, well then you know it has to be either a problem with the fuse, the relay or the wire. Now if you're getting power, well then you know you've got a problem with your horn. So this is how simple it is. If you're getting power, it's a problem with your horn. If you're not getting power, it's a problem with something else. But it still could be a problem with your horn. This is the problem, but it's still very simple. So if you're getting power, replace your horn. If you're not getting power, check your fuse. If your fuse is gone, simple. If your fuse isn't gone, well then this is where it starts getting a bit trickier. Because if it's the wires between the fuse and the horn, well then it's a nightmare. Because to try and trace it back is just a nightmare. You can be lucky, but I doubt it. It's best just to run a new wire through and basically take out the old wire. Well, not take out the old wire, but disconnect the new wires. So this is, just think of it that way. Once you think of it that way, as you go through things stage by stage, you will come up with the answer eventually, and hopefully it's not a big fix, it's just a simple fix. We were lucky with this one, but believe me, it doesn't always work out this way. So yeah, that's the way I do any kind of electrical issue. I will do another video on tools to use for electrical problems, but we won't touch upon it on this video. So look, hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next